me for the last 24 hours. Today's press conference on a Sunday evening represents the dedicated, encompassing foreign policy of Minister Sobers, and more so the constant approach of the Prime Minister to ensure that the welfare of our citizens, both abroad, locally, are always put first. So this evening's press conference is to speak on that very critical issue. So I now would like to welcome Minister Sobers to address you all.
Right, good afternoon, everyone. So within the last 24 to 48 hours, roughly, the government of Trinidad and Tobago would have taken note of the several posts, both on traditional and social media, regarding the hurricane, or the storm, actually, the storm, tropical hurricane Melissa, which is due to make landfall in Jamaica, unfortunately, sometime during the course of
the next 24
hours. Firstly, we'd like to begin by saying that our hearts and prayers are with our CARICOM neighbors, Jamaica. Our love goes out to the people and the government of Jamaica. And on behalf of the Prime Minister and the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we reaffirm that any actions that we are able to take as an administration to assist Jamaica in their time of need, if required, Trinidad and Tobago, as has been the case before, we stand ready to assist them and their people and the government. We have been in contact, or I have also been in contact. I know the Prime Minister would have been in contact with the government of Jamaica. I've been in contact with the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and Trade Affairs in Jamaica, Ms. Camilla Johnson, to reassure her of that position as well too. We are very confident in the Jamaican government's handling of the situation thus far. They've detailed in several posts that we've taken note of their operational capability to treat with this unfortunate circumstance, and we believe that they are more than apt, capable, ready, prepared to do so. But just like anything else that is not man-made, but that of the good Lord, you can never really be too prepared. It is an unpredictable situation, and hence the reason we reiterate our position, as I indicated at the genesis of my contribution, that Trinidad and Tobago stands at the ready to assist if called upon. In any event, precipitating all of that, there would have been a flurry of information, some of it misinformation, coming out from social media concerning the treatment of students, our students, Trinbagonian national students in Jamaica at varying campuses, but especially the UAMONA campus. Now, I myself, I think all of us in this room at some point in time, we were students. We appreciate how difficult a time like this could be, being so far away from home and being faced with something as dangerous as a hurricane, well knowing what effects would come subsequent after, or even during the hurricane, and sometimes even prior. And based upon that, we took note of some of the information coming out that no help would have been forthcoming to these students by the government. We, as an administration, somebody's having a conversation. Maybe they want to have the conversation first, and then we could continue. Right. Good. So we, as an administration, since we became aware that this hurricane had been formed, I think on the 21st of October, our ministries began to engage themselves in an interconnected way. So the Ministry of Tertiary Education would have reached out to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We both would have had significant discussions on what could be possible approaches to treat with this situation. And then after concluding those discussions, we then reached out, based upon a direction from the Honourable Prime Minister, to Caribbean Airlines. Based upon that, we would have sent we received an email from the students and from some concerned parents, mid-Wednesday morning, maybe Wednesday around lunchtime. And based upon that email, we collated all of the information, amalgamated all of the information that we got from the email. And so on the very first thing on Thursday morning, what we did with the information that was procured, blast email was sent to all students on Thursday, the 23rd of October, asking whether or not those students wish to return to Trinidad and Tobago before the storm. Now, pursuant to the information received from the Ministry of Tertiary Education, we had a breakdown of approximately 268 students currently in Jamaica. Out of that 268, they were split up into categories of persons who were, how the tertiary education came up with that figure from bursary recipients, CAPE students, GATE students, and UTEC students. And the total number amalgamated to 268 students. When all of them were contacted, unfortunately, out of the 268 students, only 72 students responded in the affirmative, saying that they wanted to be repatriated, and 13 responded in the negative. And there was a figure of about 183 students who did not respond at all, for varying reasons, we suspect. In any event, that information would have then been passed on to Caribbean Airlines and also passed on to the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, where we then had our own database that we also amalgamated with the information that was provided to us from the Ministry of Tertiary Education and started to contact these students individually. The High Commission in Jamaica, which is currently led by the Head of Chancery, Ms. Amanda Fraser, and I cannot thank certain persons within this entire operation enough, such as the Head of Chancery, Amanda Fraser, and the team, such as Ms. Rena Cowlesser from Caribbean Airlines, who's the chairman of Caribbean Airlines, and her team, and to the hardworking staff, both in the Ministries of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and the Ministry of Tertiary Education, for coming together in this time and treating with these issues. In any event, Caribbean Airlines immediately would have issued at 9:20 a.m. after speaking to the Caribbean Airlines manager in Jamaica, with the first secretary of the Trinidad and Tobago High Commission, who confirmed that there were no requests at that point in time or escalations from the students for a flight back to Trinidad. However, she was told that Caribbean Airlines flight on the 23rd of October 2025 was operating at that juncture with 22 available seats, and in the case that any students wished to leave on that day, they would have been able to come back. They would have been given first priority, which would have been on the Thursday. The Ministry of Tertiary Education continued to liaise with CAL during the course of the day with updates at 2:20 p.m., at 3:06 p.m., and then a decision was made to issue both through blast emails and through CAL's traditional and social media platforms that there would be 2 flights that would be made available on the Friday, 24th of October, one BW405 at 10:30 a.m. With a total of 160 available seats, and then BW415 at 11:25 a.m. with another total available seats of 160 seats. It should be noted that in terms of contact with the Head of Chancery in Jamaica, Ms. Fraser, there was also contact made with the campus registry for Mona, who also indicated clearly, listen, if there are students who, for whatever reason, would not have been minded, to avail themselves of the flights, the campus is an extremely safe place to shelter in. We understood that there would have been students who might have considered, listen, let me stay, because they would have been considering the cost for the repatriation exercise. And based upon that, an instruction would have been given to the Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who then immediately had it carried out, that further impress funds would have been sent to the High Commission in Jamaica, so that food supplies and provisions would have been purchased for the remaining students in Jamaica. Once they contacted the Head of Chancery, those foodstuffs would have been given to them. Those provisions would have been provided to them. That exercise has been ongoing since Friday, right? So since Friday, in terms of the report we received from Ms. Fraser, she has already given out maybe over 140 supplies to students who would have been in Jamaica, who stayed for whatever reason they decided to stay. Apart from the provisions that were given to those students, there is also a cache of items still at the Chancery in Jamaica, because we know, listen, these are provisions that are being given to students prior to the storm. Very well thereafter, the storm comes to an end, there may very well be students who would be in need. And so we want to be on the ready, available to provide these students with the necessary items. Contact information, again, the Chancery is seasoned possessor of that information, so they will be able to meet these students in a safe place at the campus and provide them with the provisions that they require. We also took note of a post that came out from the Trinidad and Tobago Students Association from UE Mona. The post that came out yesterday essentially alluded to a number of things that may or may not have occurred, and we appreciate and understand that. When persons are in perilous positions, sometimes they react. We are not saying that the reaction was inflamed, but we suspect that passions were alive in students at that point in time. However, since then, understanding that their needs were being met on a timely basis with provisions from the head of Chancery, the students thought it necessary, understanding equally the flurry of comments being fueled back at home, some of them by mischief makers, I will categorically say by the opposition, who chose to use something as serious, as dangerous, as life-threatening, as a storm, as a hurricane, to gain cheap political points. The Students Association, recognizing that, put out a subsequent post today thanking Ms. Amanda Fraser and the head of Chancery and the High Commission in Jamaica for all of this assistance that would have been rendered to them and will continue to be rendered to them during this time. I must say as well, thanks to both the Parliamentary Secretary and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry and our Honourable Prime Minister, because we came together as well in the dead of the night to discuss other options. We also spoke to the Tobago House of Assembly, the Chief Secretary, Mr. Farley Augustine, and Mr. Risha Hackett, who are also extremely concerned about Tobagonian individual students who would have been there. And we've been liaising very, very closely with Ms. Hackett and Mr. Farley Augustine to ensure that those Tobagonian students are also well taken care of. So this has been a total all-of-government approach across all sectors. No one has been left behind. No one was not thought about, as some persons would want you to think, or go out there and peddle foolishly within the public domain. And we will continue to monitor the situation and provide the necessary assistance as required by students and affected nationals subsequent to the passage of the storm, because as you may very well be aware, once the hurricane breaks ground, it would be difficult for us to risk the lives of members of the Chancery to go out there and assist persons accordingly. But we've been assured by the Foreign Affairs Minister in Jamaica that there are emergency responders that will be available during that time, and we will provide that information to our nationals and students in the event they need to avail themselves of it. I want to make one further point before I close. There was also, unfortunately, I think the most salacious, egregious, foolish statement being made by members of the opposition, and to be fair to members of the media as well too, that somehow our relationship with CARICOM precluded or prohibited us from assisting our CARICOM brothers and sisters if they ever called upon us to assist them. Nothing could be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, I received a phone call from the government of Barbados on Thursday, and we kicked into high gear to assist them. It will be uncharitable of me to say exactly what we did, but we did assist the government of Barbados in terms of certain things that they asked us for, and we gave them 100% support. And we remain open to assist any other CARICOM nation at this point in time in the event that they require similar or even more assistance. So for anybody, members of the media, inclusive of members of the opposition, to say, to suggest, to allege that we as a government did not assist any CARICOM nation is totally false. And whosoever said anything similar or in that vein should be ashamed of themselves. Because there's no reason in a situation like this to create unnecessary panic, especially when you're dealing with children and parents who are scared as it pertains to what they may very well be experiencing within the next 12 to 24 hours. And that is what I have to say on that matter.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister Sobers. We'd now like to invite questions at this point in time.
Just a bit of clarification. You said flights were made available. Is it that the flights were already planned and were supposed to go ahead nonetheless, or was special dispensation made or given to these flights from Jamaica to Trinidad?
Right, so there essentially is usually one flight that takes place directly from Jamaica to Trinidad. There was a special dispensation made for 2 extra flights to be put on, and priority was given to Trinbagonian students who wanted to avail themselves of those flights. And those flights would have been put on the Friday.
All right. And in terms of, you said priority would have been given to them. What would the booking process have been like? Is it that they had to go through the ministry? Could they just have gone to the website and booked?
They could have gone to the website and booked. They could have gone to the airport and booked. They could have gone through the High Commission to book the flights as well too. And each flight would have allowed for essentially 160 by 2, which is 320 students, which would have been more than the amount of students that we have listed per the information we got from the Ministry of Tertiary Education to bring the students home if they so desire.
And are you able to say what was the cost of the flight?
No, I don't have the exact figure with respect to the cost of the flights, but I would admit that there was a cost associated with the flights. There was some degree of fee waivers to accommodate the students for the flights. So the flights would have been discounted as far as my information is from Caribbean Airlines. But I'll tell you something based upon that question, Gregory. We are not inhumane. We appreciate that there would have been some students.
Some students are complaining that they did not have the finances to return.
Right, so to answer your first question, that blast email that I referred to went out on Thursday, the 23rd of October. In terms of the time, I don't have the actual time before me, but it would have, I'm advised that it would have been more than 12 hours before, 12 hours before the actual, no, it had to be way more than 12 hours before the actual flight time. I would suspect if it's on Tuesday and the flight time was on the Friday, it might have been at least 24 hours before the actual flight time on the Friday. In terms of your second question was?
Regarding the price, students are saying that the price was premium, and you just said it was discounted.
Correct.
Could you just clarify what transpired with CAL and the price? Because students are saying that it was too expensive for them to pay to return in time before the holiday.
Right. So one, the information with respect to the discounts, information as it pertains to fee waivers, including other information as it pertains to pricing. That is the information that Carl has provided me here today. 2, with the greatest of respect to you, what's your name again, John? Otto. You just indicated that you received information that the flights were not discounted. I mean, I don't know where you got that information from. Right, so the students told you that. Do you have any information at hand to demonstrate that the flights were not discounted?
They're saying so, and they've sent stuff to us.
Yeah, well, until you maybe present me with that, then I could make a comment on that. But I am reading for you from what I've received from Cal. I don't mean to be pejorative to you, but I'm just saying that I have no information as it pertains to that. I know what Cal has sent me. And I'm certain that if it is one, would have made a check on the website with Cal, which I think they did send some documentation on, or we could ask Cal to provide it to the media as well too. You would see where the flights would have been discounted.
Because some of the flights were $500 US per 1 way. So I don't know what is the discount there, but that's what we are being told from students. And I would be remiss of me to think that these students would be in any way mischievous because they are returning.
I'm not saying that they are mischievous. I'm just saying that if you had the document with you, I would look at it and then I would maybe tell you, I would refer those questions directly to Cal. But in any event, in anticipation of the fact, as I just mentioned to Gregory, we anticipated that there would have been some students who would not have been able to purchase the tickets, and based upon that, we would have sent further impress money or cash advance to the Jamaican High Commission to ensure that they had sufficient funding to provide provisions for those students who would be sheltering in place because they would not have been able to avail themselves of the tickets to get onto the plane.
Just as a follow-up, Minister,
of course.
some of the students, there was a video showing students holding cans and so that whole. Could you clarify what transpired there? Because the students were saying that not sufficient supplies was given by the Commission in Jamaica.
Well, one, I didn't see the video, right? Respectfully. And two, I heard, because we get reports periodically from Ms. Fraser, who's the head of Chancery, she apparently saw the video and she broke down in tears. Because Ms. Fraser has been going out, Amanda has been going out tirelessly since Thursday, providing students with provisions. And when she was told that there was some type of video being bandied around with less than what was actually provided, it hurt her. So I want to appeal to persons that this is not something that we should be playing games with, right? There's a lot that is being done by the public servants within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, especially the head of Chancery, to get supplies out to students and to whomsoever these mischief makers are. Not the students, I verily do not believe it's the students, but the mischief makers that carry different source programs all over this place, that they cease and desist, because it is not helping. It is hurting. A lot of parents are seeing that and are believing that their children are not being treated fairly, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Mr. Sobers, other question. In terms of the travel arrangements and the discounted prices, will the students made aware that the ticket prices will be discounted? And also, was any consideration given at all to perhaps actually paying for the travel to these students to bring them back home? I mean, the OPM, of course, has its own travel budget, and I'm sure the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will have a certain allocation for traveling as well. So was any consideration given to using that so that these students would not have to pay themselves?
Yes, so the arrangement with respect to the discounts, I believe from what I'm seeing here from Cal, and Cal can confirm that, there would have been 2 emails that would have been sent out, one at 8:33 p.m. and another one at 9:15 p.m. on Thursday, the 23rd of October, informing students of the discounted figures, right? You could always pick that up with Cal to confirm that information. And on the second point, with respect to the discount for or paying or comping for the flights for the students, yes, it was in fact something that was considered. Unfortunately, at this juncture, when we looked at in terms of the response, the blast email that would have been sent out to these 268 students, when we only received essentially 72 plus 13, which is 185, 72 plus 13, which is 85 students, leaving a balance of 183 who did not respond. At that juncture, we were of the opinion, listen, let's just get the planes out there. To say that we would send the planes for free just like that, and we don't know if it would serve a greater number of persons. At that stage, we thought that it might not have been in the best interest to do it at that stage. There is a discussion now. I am not a policy maker by myself. I do so in a cabinet based upon the instruction of the Prime Minister and in amalgamation with other colleagues. There is a discussion right now based upon whatever the aftermath. God, we hope, we pray to God that the aftermath is not bad, that in terms of an extraction, that the plane that will be sent to extract all of those who would be minded to leave at that point in time. There is a discussion surrounding comping that flight. I can't say if that is going to be the absolute position. I will wait until I get directions from the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, and once we liaise with the Chairman of CAL on that issue.
So had you had more responses, then that would have been done?
I'm saying if we had more responses, it would have helped better inform the decision.
Minister Jim was at Bloomberg. Would you entertain a question off topic?
You're from where?
With Bloomberg News. Bloomberg News.
Yes, well, I mean, you're here already.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. No, just today with the arrival of the USS Gravely, I was wondering if you've been in touch with your counterparts in Venezuela, and if so, what is your message to them? What are you telling them about the U.S. military presence here?
Well, I've always been in constant contact with the ambassador to Venezuela, Alvaro. I call him by his first name because we are very good friends. And we have no issues with Venezuela. We've constantly indicated that, both publicly, privately, when we speak to Alvaro. The fact that the USS Gravely is here, the ministry would have put out a press release indicating what the position is with respect to the ship. The U.S. Embassy here would have put out a similar statement as it pertains to the ship. But at the end of the day, the situation is such that the ship is here. We had trade winds exercises conducted earlier this year, sometime I believe in April. And coming out of those exercises, and also our constant bilateral and diplomatic relations with the U.S., the U.S. being a superior power to Trinidad and Tobago, we will always look to see how best larger nations can help smaller ones like Trinidad and Tobago. And in this case, one of the things coming out of trade winds was that our TTDF, our naval capability, may not have been at optimum operating capacity. And so a request would have been made for assistance in that regard. The Gravely is here in furtherance of that request, and we welcome them being here. It demonstrates that the U.S. continues to be a very strong partner with Trinidad and Tobago, and the people-to-people linkages, the technological linkages that will come out of this, the visit of this ship here for this very, very short period of time, we appreciate. As a matter of fact, the ship and also the USS Comfort that was here recently that provided healthcare services, which it's Jim?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, Jim, I didn't see you here asking questions about the USS Comfort now, right? Yeah, well, you should have arrived sooner, right? But in any event, some of the humanitarian efforts that the Comfort started, the Gravely is going to continue. So there's a school that the U.S. assists a lot with respect to painting and refurbishment works and whatnot. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I prefer to let the U.S. do so, which they will in short order. They have some nice goodies to give those students of that school in collaboration with our Prime Minister, and we are very grateful for the U.S. in so doing. And that is the length and breadth of that issue. Jim from Bloomberg.
Prime Minister, just coming back to this Jamaica issue, could you just identify who sent the email to the students, the blast that you talk about,
Yeah,
and when it was sent? Because there are contradicting reports regarding those emails, which would have broken down communication in regards of some of the students leaving. Because there's an email coming from the Ministry of Education, the Tertiary Division.
Correct.
And so what I'm saying is that we have evidence that students received the emails at 6:30 p.m. on Friday.
So I just want to find out who sent out the emails and if they would have, I mean, you're being told and being reported to, but the information and the evidence that is being shared is we're seeing emails received way after the flights would have left Jamaica.
I appreciate that. The evidence that I have before me is that that blast email went out on Thursday, the 23rd, from the Ministry of Tertiary Education. In terms of the actual time frame for when that email went out, I can always liaise with my colleagues, Minister Prasad and Permanent Secretary Narayan Singh, so that they can provide on their varying Facebook pages when emails went out, so that persons would be aware that it went out well before the actual flights left Jamaica, so that they would have been able to avail themselves accordingly. I don't want to get into, respectfully, a tit-for-tat with students on when an email did or did not go out. I understand the issue or issues that may have arisen based upon that. Ultimately, what we are here to do is to assure the students that Trinidad and the government of Trinidad and Tobago is here for them. We'll stand with them during this period, and whatever resources they require, we will be there to provide to them.
Mr. Sobers, well,
I have the email from the High Commission at 5:45 p.m. on Thursday to the students.
So apparently, also from the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, we would have sent out an email to the students at 5:45 p.m. on Thursday as well too.
Although I will forward you the email.
I will forward you what I have.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll forward. Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
are you able to say how much money was made available to the High Commission in Jamaica, and what was the total budget for supplies, etc.?
No, well, I mean, oh God, are you asking what they want money? We send people on them. We send money. They have money, and we've ensured that. And we just come out of budget, you know. You should have been in standing finance. Nobody asked me a question in standing finance, but you want to ask. No problem, right?
In 2004, in 2004, we would have seen in
Hurricane Ivan, a similar approach was taken where the government would have did and flights were given for free for students to return home. I understand what you're saying, but it seems to me that Minister, there was a communication issue, and that is something I believe that we need to look at, because students and parents are sharing information. Emails did not come the time you're saying that it came.
Yeah. Well, again, the information that we have, we've shared with what tertiary has given us. The information that we have, we've shared with respect to what Chancery has given us. I mean, it is here, and we will provide that information to the media, right? So that you will definitely have it, Otto, right? And CNC3. So that it would assist as best as possible. In terms of your question, we provided money, sufficient money, so that they do have money which they've been utilizing. I mean, even before we provided them money, they have money. The missions can't run without funds. That's crazy, right? But because this is an extraordinary situation, it is obviously incumbent upon us as a ministry and as an administration to provide them with extraordinary funding to take care as best as possible with a situation like this.
Okay. I'm not sure if you would have mentioned this when you were answering Jim's question, but regarding our diplomatic contingent in Venezuela, do we have a full diplomatic contingent in Venezuela still? Do we have an ambassador or whatever across there?
We have a diplomatic contingent in Venezuela. Nobody has moved, nobody has run and gone anywhere. We don't have an ambassador in Venezuela just yet, but it is something that we've indicated with a lot of the other ambassadorial positions. We do have an ambassador we don't have an ambassador in Brasilia. We don't have an ambassador in Panama. We don't have an ambassador in China. There are several ambassadors in Nigeria, South Africa. There are several ambassadorial positions to be filled. At this juncture, we only have our United Nations permanent representative in New York, which is Dr. Neil Parson. We have in Kingston, Jamaica, who will be going out next week, which is Ms. Deborah Thomas Felix. And we have Mr. Chandra Singh, who would be going out as the High Commissioner in
New Delhi.
in New Delhi in India. But our complement of staff in Caracas, they have a very good working relationship with all arms of government in Caracas. They continue to do so, and they continue to have good relations, obviously, with us here in capital. We are their bosses, they should, right? But there's no issue. Nobody has run and gone anyway, if that's what you're alluding to. Everybody is in place. Work is operating as per normal, and there are no issues.
Okay. I know Carl has stopped the flights to Venezuela, if I remember correctly. Are there any plans in place? I mean, the reality is there is a conflict of sorts looming between the U.S. and Venezuela. Is anything being considered for Trinidadians across there who want to be repatriated? How are they going to get back?
That would be a question that you'd have to put to Carl, with respect to why the flights would have been cancelled. And in terms of any type of repatriation from Venezuela at this juncture, if persons want to leave Venezuela and come back home, or leave Venezuela and go to the US, or leave Venezuela and go to Spain, or wherever they want to go, there are airlines operating within Venezuela at this point in time that they can avail themselves of. Nothing is stopping them from leaving.
Okay, and your final question is, the USS Gravely is a boat that would have been involved in the US strikes within the region. What do you say to the family members, particularly of the two Trinidadians who are believed to have been killed in one of these strikes? What do you say to them this morning? That how are they supposed to, I mean, they will feel how knowing that a boat that was involved in a strike that would have killed a relative is now, you know, happily moored in the capital city. What would you say to them this morning?
Well, it's Jensen, right? Gregory. Oh God, I'm so yeah, I am so bad at names. Gregory, I'll tell you something. Two things. Again, I don't mean to be pejorative. One, I don't know at all where you procure that information from, that the USS Gravely was involved in any strikes within the Southern Caribbean. I don't have that information. That is beyond me, right? So I would caution anybody from saying that, unless they have evidence to the contrary. And secondly, as it pertains to the family members who have missing relatives, right? Missing relatives. We had made public statements. Listen, as far as we know, these persons may very well be missing. We don't know them to be dead. We don't know that they were the actual persons on any boats that may have been destroyed by the U.S. The relatives conducted funerals. I think one of them did most recently. My heart goes out to them that they would, you know, conduct that funeral, and we wish them all the best. But what we did say is that in lieu of any evidence that these persons have actually died, that the best course of action would be to go to the police and file a missing persons report. The acting commissioner of police at the point in time, Mr. Benjamin, had indicated that he had made officers available to go to them to take reports so that he could conduct an investigation to try to locate these individuals. But to say that these persons are dead and that they were on a boat and they were subject to some strike, and the strike come from the Gravely, all of that is conjecture, which is misinformation, respectfully.
And finally, just returning to the consular question in terms of the staffing in Venezuela, are you able to say what size or what's the size of the staffing contingent we have in Caracas at this time?
I can. We usually have a staff complement there about
3 local, 3 diplomats, and about 5 local.
yeah, so it's about 8 people, right? 3 locals, 3 diplomats from capital, 5 locals, but we don't have an ambassador there just yet. So that is the staff complement there. All right. Okay.
All right, members, thank you for joining us this evening, and we wish you a safe journey home. Thanks again. Thanks to the members of the public who have tuned on. And again, this really reflects the government's commitment to always be accountable to our country and be with our country to make sure the best well-being of our citizens. So thank you very much.
This is TTT. Live for local.